This is Top 30. Coming up, the trans fat ban is official. We'll tell you how it will affect your diet. Just when you think you've heard it all, is Kim Kardashian getting into politics? And this school receptionist went viral for singing her way into summer.
It's summer break, it's here at last.
Welcome to the show. I'm Kristen Smith.
And I'm Richard Bacon, and here are today's 30 things you need to know. The average price of a used car is at a 13-year high, and it's partly because of expiring leases. Newer model cars that are just finishing their lease are flooding the market. Those newer models have a higher price tag and have raised the average price of a used car to $19,657 for the first quarter of this year. That's up almost 18% compared to the same period 5 years ago. And while more supply usually drives down prices, demand is up as well. Experts say the strong economy has put more people in the market to buy these higher priced cars, also helping increase the average price. More pickup trucks and SUVs on the market. These larger vehicles are traditionally more expensive, and their higher fuel costs are not turning off most buyers. So while you'll likely be paying more for a used car, there is a bigger selection of newer models available now.
The FDA's ban on artificial trans fats officially went into effect this week, and they estimate it'll prevent up to 20,000 heart attacks every year. Consuming high amounts of artificial trans fats increases your risk of coronary heart disease. The FDA also thinks the ban will save 7,000 lives every year. And this month, the country celebrated Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day or Emancipation Day. It was June 19th, 1865, that marked the end of slavery. Many Americans came together for barbecues, parades, and parties to acknowledge the freedom this holiday represents. And finally, receptionist Regina Ballard sang her North Carolina high school students into summer break, and it was amazing.
Summer breakers, come along.
Wow, with a voice like that, I'm not convinced she'll be back at school next year.
All right, let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine, Nicole Pedalides. Nicole, CVS has a new partnership.
That's right, Richard. CVS has teamed up with the post office for a new home delivery system. Customers will now be able to get not only prescriptions delivered, but also over-the-counter items, including aspirin and face wash, all for a fee of $5 per delivery. Would you wait longer for an Uber if it was cheaper? Well, the company is experimenting with a feature on its app where it tells you at what time prices will decrease. Ride-sharing services consistently change their prices due to a system known as dynamic pricing, which is based on demand. Get ready to share your hotel room with an Amazon Echo. Amazon is teaming up with hotels to bring Alexa for hospitality. This service will let guests have more control of their stay, and they'll be able to do things such as managing the room controls and requesting housekeeping.
Nicole, has Amazon addressed privacy issues with this feature?
Well, Amazon has said recordings of Alexa commands are deleted daily, and hotels are not given access to voice recordings of Alexa interactions.
That's good to hear. Nicole in New York, thank you.
Our friend Headcrack over at Dish Nation dishes up the hottest celebrity news. So, Headcrack, I hear Kim Kardashian might be thinking about a career change?
That's right, Kristen. Kim Kardashian West sat down with CNN's Van Jones this weekend, and it seems, just like her husband, Kim might also have political aspirations. When asked if she'd ever consider running for office, she said, never say never. No worries, Kim. We know to never underestimate your powers. Now, if I ever get arrested, you, my friend, are going to be my first call. I don't even think Kim Kardashian can save John Travolta's new movie, Gotti. The film about the mob boss John Gotti received a very rare 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. You heard that right, 0. Donuts. One critic wrote, I'd rather wake up next to a severed horse head than ever watch Gotti again. The movie also didn't do great business in the box office either, making just $1.7 million. Ew. In happier news, Heidi Klum had a great day at Disneyland with her kids, and she brought along an extra one, her 28-year-old boyfriend. And the couple wasn't shy. They were showing plenty of PDA, proving that Disneyland can indeed be the happiest place on earth. Anyway, that's your dish. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon, Kristen.
Well, it's good to hear Heidi is happy. Thanks, Headcrack. For the latest celebrity news, watch Dish Nation weekdays, check your local listings. And Top 30, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. A new study shows just how unaffordable rent is across the country for people making minimum wage. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition crunched the numbers nationally. They found someone working for the federal minimum wage of $7.25 would have to work a 122-hour work week to afford a modest two-bedroom rental home. The calculations are assuming workers spend about 30% of their income on rent. The study also broke it down by state. The most expensive was Hawaii. The fair market rent for a two-bedroom there is $1,879 a month. The minimum wage is $10.10, meaning someone would have to work 143 hours a week to afford housing. And the cheapest, Arkansas, a two-bedroom goes for $720 and the minimum wage is $850, which equals a 70-hour work week. The study blames stagnant wages and income inequality for the unaffordable housing issues.
Gisele Bündchen and Tom Brady are an international power couple, with each one reaching the top of their respective fields. The supermodel and her NFL quarterback hubby have been very tight-lipped about their private life. Until now, Gisele is on the cover of this month's Vogue magazine and opened up about very personal stories during an interview for the magazine's 73 Questions segment posted on its YouTube channel. When asked about the most romantic thing Tom Brady ever did for her, she revealed how he proposed. He told Gisele her apartment was flooding and to hurry over. When she got there, the apartment was filled with candles and rose petals, and that's when he got down on one knee. Gisele also admitted she doesn't know much about football, even though she goes to every game. And she said she'd rather be living in the warm weather of her native Brazil, but stays in Boston because she loves her husband and her kids like it there. Well, 4 former First Ladies are speaking out against the nation's no-tolerance policy on the nation's border. This comes after Melania Trump released a statement on the issue. Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced the no-tolerance approach 6 weeks ago, which has led to about 2,000 minors being separated from their parents and guardians. Melania Trump's office released a statement saying she hates to see families separated and that she believes we need to be a country that follows all laws, but also a country that governs with heart. She also called for both sides to come together to achieve successful immigration reform. Laura Bush wrote a scathing op-ed in the Washington Post calling the policy cruel, immoral, and said it breaks her heart. She also asks for a kinder, more compassionate, and moral answer to the immigration issue. Michelle Obama retweeted Mrs. Bush's link to the story and added the caption, "Sometimes truth transcends party." Hillary Clinton weighed in while speaking at a women's event in New York, saying what's happening to families at the border is horrific and that every human being with a sense of compassion and decency should be outraged. And Rosalind Carter released a statement through the Carter Center saying the practice and policy today of removing children from their parents' care at our border with Mexico is disgraceful and a shame to our country.
All right, Top 30, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Top 30. 40% of Americans have deleted a social media account because of concerns about privacy. A report from Edelman found that 60% of users don't think tech companies are doing enough to protect privacy or stop hate speech and false information. It's not a huge surprise. I mean, you know, when you go through trolling, which was an earlier concern of social media, obviously still very much alive. Then we move on to Cambridge Analytica and fake news.
Right.
Of course, people don't trust it. Of course, they're deleting
Right, it's kind of top of mind these days, right? I know last month Facebook and Twitter both announced stricter policies in terms of their ad guidelines and whatnot. You know, one of the conclusions found here in this fairly extensive study is people want clear identification when something is sponsored. People want to know when their data is being collected. They just want, they want to know what the heck is going on.
Yeah, that sponsored thing is actually very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very vague, all that, isn't it?
Totally is.
I think what you have to do with social media is it's almost like you have to learn how to pan for gold. Yeah. So it's about going, well, I trust that friend or I trust that news network. You kind of learn, I think, to some extent. Yeah. But it's hard work. 30%, only 30% of Americans trust social media. I'm like, even that seems quite high. I'm like, who are they?
Yeah, I know, right?
They've got some catching up to do.
And so many people distrust so much, they're deleting them.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go. All right, let's move on. You've seen the 50 states ranked by cost of living or how easy it is to find a job, but this new report asks how many psychopaths live in each state. Researchers looked at several personality traits connected to psychopathic tendencies. They claim this is the first study of its kind, and Washington, D.C. is estimated to have the most psychopaths, followed by Connecticut, California, New Jersey, and New York.
I actually don't like this survey. I mean, I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I've read...
Tell me why.
When you think of psychopaths, a lot of people think of, like, American Psycho, people who go around murdering people.
Hannibal Lecter.
Right.
Or what Hollywood has decided psychopathic people.
Famously people who run big companies, certainly politicians who have the capacity to take a big decision that means people lose their jobs, have a degree of psychopathy. But it's very complex. It has to be individually diagnosed. You just can't speculate across states like that.
Well, this calculation is based on 5 massive categories: extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, and openness to experience. And then everything else is like a subcategory under this.
Yeah, empathy is the most famous one. You know, kind of a lack of empathy is, I guess, the biggest association with psychopathy. Look, a group of people have put a lot of work into this report, and I have absolutely no empathy for the effort they've put in. Top 30 will be right back.
In today's Hometown Stories from Fox 5 New York, Chad Cooper gave up a lucrative career on Wall Street to become executive director of the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music. Cooper used to sit on the music school's board of directors, but he decided to run the conservatory full-time so he could turn around the school's finances, which he said were on the brink of bankruptcy. And Cooper has gone without a salary for the past 2 years to help save room in the budget. The Brooklyn Conservatory of Music serves over 6,000 people a year through lessons, public school programs, and music therapy. In our second story from Fox 11 Los Angeles, one organization is stepping up to make sure kids get the health care they need. The Queen's Care Mobile Dental Clinic provides free dental care to low-income children in the Los Angeles area. They provide preventative checkups, x-rays, and fillings, all free of charge. And many parents of the kids they treat say they wouldn't be able to get that care otherwise. And in our final story from Fox 5 DC, one 4th grader from Germantown, Maryland, has made it her mission to help save endangered gorillas in Africa. Addie Barrett first got interested in gorilla conservation when she read a book about it in 1st grade, and she's kept with it ever since. She started the organization Gorilla Heroes to help fundraise. And one of the ways she's raising money is by taking a pie in the face for every $5 donation. So far, Addie's raised over $1,000, and she has no plans to stop anytime soon. Welcome back to Top 30. The World Health Organization now says compulsively playing video games now qualifies as a mental health condition. Researchers said there are 3 characteristics of gaming disorder. Gaming takes over the player's life, the gamer does not react to the effects of that change, and gaming has a negative impact on personal, family, and social relationships.
That makes sense.
Now, these are all symptoms that are very similar to alcoholism or gambling addiction. And, you know, this classification, at least, you know, experts are saying it'll help doctors around the country identify this legitimate problem, and then more people could get help because it's an official classification now.
And not everyone agrees. Here's one psychologist who says that actually people are using gaming as a coping mechanism for anxiety or depression. So the headline problem is anxiety and depression.
Right.
And she says when anxiety and depression is dealt with, the gaming goes down significantly, which is fascinating. But to me, that still sounds like a mental health condition. You might use alcohol to decrease anxiety. If you use gaming to decrease anxiety, it's still worth classifying and thinking about and understanding.
Yeah, I think critics are worried that, you know, you can diagnose anything these days.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the fear.
It seems like a good study, that one, I think. Mexico beat the defending world champion Germany in their first match of the tournament, with millions of fans cheering them on. One of them, US soccer legend Landon Donovan, appeared in a commercial suggesting Americans should support the Mexican team. And I realise that certain people have come forward, including other sports stars, who are angry about this.
Yes, because the U.S. and Mexico, they are bitter rivals, like on the field. It's completely unheard of in the sports world, though. Former U.S. men's player Taylor Twellman sent out this tweet: "I'd rather cut off my toe than root for Mexico. How could I root for our rival?" I'm
going to give you this. By the way, there's a statement here. Donovan responded to the backlash by posting a statement on Twitter that reads, in part, "My heart bleeds red, white, and blue, but I grew up playing with Mexican teammates who inspired me, and I have a strong connection and respect for our neighbour." You can watch Mexico and the other World Cup countries on Fox Sports. A quick stat: the Super Bowl gets just over 100 million viewers. The Soccer World Cup gets 3.4 billion.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? You think it's just so much bigger than Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's just. Okay, go.
Okay, so there's a new study, and it found people who are more empathetic enjoy music more. That's because they process music with a greater involvement of the brain's reward system. You know, participants in this study, it was actually pretty interesting. They got an MRI, and while they were undergoing this MRI, they were listening to music, and then, of course, doctors, monitored their brain waves and came to these conclusions.
It's really good.
Yeah.
If you think of music, you think of art, even art hanging on walls. If you have the capacity to engage with it emotionally, art is often expressing things about the human condition.
Yeah.
Music is often about love. If you can engage emotionally with something that isn't about you, that is empathy, right? It completely makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. This is the first study of its kind to kind of substantiate this music and empathy connection, though.
I imagine people are engaging emotionally with this conversation about engaging emotionally, thus demonstrating the high empathy of people that watch Top 30. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Top 30. Our skin loses a lot of water while we sleep, and over time, that can lead to wrinkles. Dermatologists recommend replenishing water loss with moisturizers overnight, which is why we've got today's Top 30 steal, Tourmalet Overnight Hydrating Mask at a special 46% discount. This anti-aging mask is full of vitamin D and collagen, and they work together to moisturize and tighten your skin while you sleep. Just apply it right before you go to bed, and you will wake up feeling refreshed and radiant. This is a Korean skincare favorite because it's lighter than night creams, so it seals in moisture without clogging your pores. It's made of all natural ingredients. Tourmalet extract actually comes from a mushroom that was only allowed to be consumed in ancient China by the royal family. The Tourmalet Overnight Hydrating Mask retails for $50, but today you can buy it for just 27 bucks. That's a 46% discount, and you can get this right now at shoptop30.com.
There's a new grocery store in Toronto that isn't expected to make any money. Instead, their philosophy is just zero food waste and to make sure no one goes hungry. Chef Jagger Gordon's Feed It Forward is being billed as the country's first pay what you can grocery store. Gordon said there's more of a demand for food that is needed by Canadians than people know. Gordon uses perfectly fine food that would otherwise be sent on trucks to the landfill to stock his grocery store, like produce with bruises or blemishes that would usually be thrown away. Visitors are only allowed to take a day's worth of food at a time to feed themselves and their family. Gordon says those that pay well for what they take, knowing it's going towards a good cause, will help balance out for those who can't afford to pay much, if at all.
Kayla Mckeon is a force to be reckoned with on Capitol Hill. She also happens to be the first lobbyist ever with Down syndrome. At just 30 years old, the New York native has already helped get a bill signed into law that lets people with disabilities save more money without penalty to their Medicaid benefits. Mckeon said, "I'm good at being a self-advocate of letting myself be heard." Mckeon is driven. She's been a World Games athlete, competed in the 2011 Special Olympics, got her driver's license a few years ago, hosts a new podcast called Kayla's Corner, and has been giving motivational speeches at the Special Olympics since she was 18. She loves being a role model for other people, her mom Patty said. Things are changing. Things are getting better for people with Down syndrome. Kayla is a tip of the iceberg. What an impressive and really inspirational woman.
She certainly is, and you just wish that more parliaments had people like her, that all types of disabilities are massively underrepresented, I think, in parliaments all over the world.
Right.
All right, Top 30, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. Our friend and globetrotter, Elizabeth Stanton from Popstar Magazine, has the scoop on the best travel destinations. So, Liz, I hear you're taking us halfway around the world today.
That's right, Kristen. Today we're putting the spotlight on Jaipur, a fascinating city in India. Color, chaos, and incredible wildlife reign in Jaipur, which is hailed as India's first planned city. Many visitors start exploring the Amber Fort, which was built in 1592. You can walk to the fort or hitch a royal elephant ride for a small fee. For day trips, if you head east of the city center, you'll find a holy place nicknamed the Monkey Temple. One look and the reason is obvious, it's home to dozens of rhesus macaques and langur monkeys. Hanging out with them for the day is an unforgettable experience. Finally, Jaipur is also known as the crafts capital of India, so taking some time for shopping is a must. My advice, carry the rupee, which is the local currency, and be prepared to get your best haggling game on. Back to you, Kristen.
Well, nothing beats getting a great deal on souvenirs. Thanks, Liz.
Well, that is it for today's Top 30. Here's what's coming up on the next show. The ways that parents give financial help to their children after they graduate from college could help them or hurt them. Plus, women direct only 10% of TV commercials, but one of the biggest consumer companies in the world has a plan to change that. And the unbelievable story of two women who became neighbors, then learned they have much more in common. You can also listen to the day's biggest stories by subscribing to the new Top 30 podcast on iTunes. See you next time here on Top 30.